Hey there. Do you ever feel like life is pulling you in 100 different directions, leaving you overwhelmed and unsure where to focus? If so, you're not alone. That's why today we're diving into 7 Stoic don'ts for a better life in 2025. Principles that will help you cut through the noise and live with more clarity and purpose. We live in a fast-paced, constantly connected world. There's always a new crisis to worry about, another task to handle, and constant pressure to keep up. It can feel relentless, like you're barely holding it together. But Stoicism philosophy has just the answer you're looking for. Unlike quick-fix solutions, Stoic philosophy teaches us how to shift our mindset, helping us build resilience, focus, and inner peace. These aren't abstract ideas. They're practical tools you can start using today to transform how you think, act, and approach life's challenges. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on living your best, most intentional life. Are you ready to take control and step into 2025 with confidence? Let's dive right in. Don't let external chaos dictate your inner peace. Life today feels like a storm that never lets up. There's always something demanding your attention, a breaking news alert, a heated debate online, a comment you wish you hadn't read. It's a constant barrage, leaving many of us feeling scattered, anxious, and drained. The noise is everywhere, and for most of us, it's hard to imagine living without it. But that's precisely where Stoicism comes in, reminding us that while we can't always control the storm outside, we have absolute power over how much of it we allow inside. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Too often, we surrender our peace of mind to the chaos around us. We scroll endlessly through social media, internalizing every piece of bad news or every judgmental comment. We engage in arguments over things that don't truly matter, and worse, we think of those arguments long after they're over. What we often forget is that we have the choice to step back, to protect our inner world from being overrun by outside chaos. Think of your mind as a fortress. A fortress is strong, but it's only as secure as the gates you choose to leave open. Let anything and everything flow in, and the fortress crumbles from within. On the other hand, if you guard those gates carefully, you preserve its strength. Protecting your inner peace isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about being intentional about what you let in. You don't need to absorb every piece of negativity or react to every external trigger. You can pause, breathe, and decide whether something is worth your attention. Most of the time, you'll find that it isn't. This isn't about avoidance or ignorance, it's about boundaries. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, boundaries are a form of self-respect. Without them, your energy is scattered, your focus diluted. Imagine starting your day by setting the tone for yourself instead of letting your phone dictate it. Imagine hearing someone criticize you and choosing not to let it annoy you because you know your worth isn't tied to their opinion. That's what it means to hold on to your inner peace. One of the easiest ways to reclaim that strength is to create daily practices that ground you. Begin with reflection. Take 5 minutes each morning to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and remind yourself that you control your mind. Practice mindfulness throughout your day by noticing when you're feeling overwhelmed. Ask yourself, is this mine to carry? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, deal with it calmly, one step at a time. Another powerful tool is journaling. Writing out your thoughts at the end of the day can help you process emotions and clear your mental space. When you live without boundaries, the noise will always seem louder than your voice. But when you practice guarding your inner peace, you'll find clarity. You'll notice the difference between the chaos outside and the calm you've cultivated within. And once you feel that calm, you'll never want to give it up. Don't chase approval or fear judgment. Most of us spend a good chunk of our lives looking sideways, measuring our worth by what others think of us. It's subtle at first, maybe a stray comment from a friend or the pressure to post the perfect picture online. But over time, this need for approval starts to shape how we live. We hesitate to make decisions, fearing what others might say. We compare our lives to curated versions of others' lives, feeling less than others. And in the process, we hand over a piece of ourselves, our authenticity, our freedom, to someone else's opinion. Stoicism reminds us that this behavior is not only unnecessary but harmful. No matter how hard you try, you can't control what others think of you. Their opinions are shaped by their own biases, insecurities, and even misunderstandings. Why let something so unstable dictate the course of your life? Think of your life like a ship at sea. If you're constantly adjusting your sails based on other people's directions, you'll never find your own destination. You'll drift, caught in currents you didn't choose, wondering why you feel lost. But when you set your own course, when you steer toward what genuinely matters to you, you begin to feel grounded. The waves of judgment may still come, but they won't shake you because you know where you're headed. Here's a truth that's easy to forget. You're never going to please everyone. No matter how perfect you try to be, someone will always have a critique, a suggestion, or a sideways glance. That's their business, not yours. The Stoics remind us that our energy is better spent aligning with our values than chasing the fleeting approval of others. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What do I value? When you root your actions in those answers, you'll find a kind of freedom that no amount of likes or validation can provide. Living free of the need for approval doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their feelings. It's about shifting your focus. Instead of worrying about how others perceive you, think about how your actions align with your principles. Instead of fearing judgment, ask yourself, am I proud of the way I'm showing up in the world? You'll realize that the only person you truly need to answer to is yourself. One way to break free from this cycle is to practice detachment. The next time you catch yourself worrying about what someone thinks, pause and ask, does this opinion change who I am? Chances are, it doesn't. Another practice is gratitude. Take time to appreciate the people in your life who value you for who you are, not for what you do or how you perform. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, and let go of relationships that drain you with constant judgment. When you stop chasing approval, something remarkable happens. You create space to be yourself truly, and in that space, you'll discover a deeper sense of confidence and peace. You don't need the world to validate you to know your worth. As you step into 2025, let go of the fear of judgment and the need for approval. Walk your own path and let your actions speak for themselves. Don't ignore the present moment. It's tempting to live anywhere but here. We replay the past, wondering what we could have done differently. Or we obsess over the future, imagining every possible outcome, both good and bad. It feels productive, like worrying and overthinking might give us control over things that have already happened or haven't happened yet. But what gets lost in all of this is the one thing we can actually influence: the present moment. Stoicism reminds us that life is only ever lived in the now. Seneca, in On the Shortness of Life, wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." That advice cuts through centuries, landing sharply in the distractions of 2025. We waste hours staring at screens, scrolling past the beauty of life unfolding right in front of us. We keep waiting for the right moment to act, to connect, to live fully. But those perfect moments never arrive. They're waiting for us to notice the present. Think of the present moment like a fleeting gust of wind. You can't hold on to it, and you can't chase it once it's past. But if you pause long enough to feel it, it reminds you that you're alive right now, in this exact moment. It's easy to dismiss the now as ordinary because it doesn't always feel exciting or important. But when we focus too much on what's behind us or ahead of us, we lose the extraordinary details of life: the warmth of the sun on our face, the sound of a loved one's laughter, the simple act of breathing. When you're not present, life can feel overwhelming. You're either weighed down by the baggage of yesterday or frozen by the uncertainty of tomorrow. But when you ground yourself in the moment, life becomes easier and better. You can focus on what's in front of you, what you can do today, this hour, even this minute. This doesn't mean you stop planning for the future or reflecting on the past. It means those things don't control you. They become tools, not burdens. So, how do you anchor yourself in the present when the world pulls you in every direction? Start small. Take moments throughout your day to simply pause and feel the world around you. When you're eating, really taste your food. When you're talking to someone, truly listen to their words. And when you're overwhelmed by everything you have to do, focus on the one task you can take on right now. The present moment is never as complicated as the mind makes it seem. These might sound like small acts, but they're powerful. They pull you out of your racing mind and into the reality of now. 2025 will likely be filled with its own set of challenges and uncertainties, but those challenges become less difficult when you approach them one moment at a time. The past is a lesson, the future a possibility, but the present is your only reality. Choose to live in it. Don't be a slave to your emotions. Emotions are powerful forces. They can drive us to achieve greatness or push us into regretful decisions. In moments of anger, fear, envy, or despair, it's easy to feel like you're at their mercy, caught in a storm you can't control. But Stoicism teaches us something different. Emotions don't control you unless you let them. They may arise naturally, but it's how you respond that determines their impact. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom applies directly to the tug-of-war with emotions. Feelings are temporary. They rise, they fall, and eventually they pass. Yet when we give them unchecked power, they can shape our actions, strain our relationships, and cloud our judgment. To live well, the Stoics believed, we must learn to observe our emotions without being consumed by them. Think of your emotions like a wildfire. Left uncontrolled, they can spread and destroy everything in their path. But with awareness and the right tools, you can contain that fire, even harness it for warmth and light. The goal isn't to suppress what you feel, it's to understand it. Anger might be telling you there's something unfair that needs addressing, but acting out in rage rarely solves the problem. Fear can alert you to a danger, but staying paralyzed by it prevents growth. When you take a step back and assess what your emotions are signaling, you regain your ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This kind of mastery begins with pausing. The next time you feel overwhelmed by an emotion, whether it's frustration during an argument or anxiety before a big decision, take a moment to breathe. Count to 10 if you have to. This pause creates space between the emotion and your response, allowing you to approach the situation with clarity. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Is my reaction helping or making things worse? These questions shift your focus from the emotion itself to what you can do about it. Another tool the Stoics emphasized is perspective. When emotions feel all-consuming, it helps to zoom out. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of how small his troubles were in the grand scheme of life. A frustration today might seem irrelevant tomorrow. A fear that feels overwhelming now may fade with time. Keeping this bigger picture in mind can lessen the grip of intense feelings, giving you the space to act from a place of calm. You don't need to be perfect at this. No one is. But every step you take toward mastering your emotions is a step toward mastering your life. By choosing how you respond instead of letting feelings dictate your actions, you gain a sense of freedom and strength. In 2025, don't let your emotions hold you hostage. Use them as guides, not rulers, and watch how much more balanced your life becomes. Don't lose sleep for things you don't need. It's easy to believe that having more will make us happy. The latest gadget, a bigger house, a closet overflowing with clothes. These things are sold to us as markers of success, symbols of a life well lived. But if that were true, why do so many of us still feel restless despite having so much? Modern life encourages endless accumulation, but Stoicism teaches us that contentment doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's sharpest voices, said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The more you accumulate, the more you have to manage, maintain, and protect. Stuff begins to own you rather than the other way around. You chase after the next purchase, believing it will complete you, only to realize the feeling of satisfaction is fleeting. Then the cycle begins again, buying, wanting, feeling empty. This constant striving isn't just exhausting, it's a distraction from what truly matters. Think of your life as a garden. If you plant too much, the soil gets overcrowded, and the beauty of individual blooms is lost in the chaos. The same is true for the things you surround yourself with. When your life is filled with excess, it becomes harder to focus on what truly brings joy or meaning. Simplicity allows room for clarity, gratitude, and peace. It's not about depriving yourself, but about creating space, physically and mentally, for what aligns with your values. So, how do you step off the treadmill of accumulation? Start by asking yourself a simple question. Does this add value to my life? When you're tempted to buy something new, pause and reflect. Is it solving a real problem, or is it filling a temporary emotional gap? This practice can also extend to the things you already own. Look around your home and notice how much of it you actually use or appreciate. Chances are a lot of it is just there, taking up space and energy. Decluttering isn't just a physical act, it's a mental one too. When you let go of what you don't need, you free your mind from the weight of excess. Try starting small. A drawer, a shelf, or a single corner of your space. Notice how it feels to create order and simplicity. Once you start, you might find it addictive in the best way. And don't stop with physical possessions. Think about the commitments, relationships, or habits that no longer serve you. These too can be clutter that drains your energy. The beauty of needing less is that it brings a sense of abundance. When you focus on what truly matters, whether it's relationships, meaningful work, or personal growth, you realize you already have more than enough. In 2025, let go of the urge to buy everything and embrace the freedom of simplicity. Don't resist change or cling to the past. Change is one of life's few certainties, yet it's also one of the hardest things to accept. We cling to what feels familiar, relationships, routines, old versions of ourselves, believing that if we hold tight enough, we can freeze time. But the truth is, resisting change doesn't stop it. It only creates suffering. Life moves forward whether we embrace it or not. Stoicism reminds us that growth happens when we stop fighting the inevitable and learn to adapt with grace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight." At its core, this isn't just a call to accept change, it's an invitation to see it as an opportunity. Nature is in constant motion. Seasons shift, rivers flow, and trees shed their leaves. There's no fear in this process, no hesitation. It's simply the way things are meant to be. The same is true for us. When we resist change, we're resisting life itself. We trap ourselves in a loop of frustration, longing for the past or fearing the future instead of living fully in the present. Think of life as a river. You can try to cling to the banks, resisting the current, but that only leaves you exhausted and stuck. Or you can let go and flow with it, trusting that the river knows where it's going. This doesn't mean you lose control. It means you focus on steering rather than fighting the current. When we accept change, we open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't see before. A closed door might lead to an open window. A loss may create space for something new. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like or celebrate every change. It's natural to grieve what was or feel uncertain about what's ahead. But resisting reality doesn't make it less real. It just delays your ability to adapt. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Shifting your mindset from resistance to curiosity can transform how you experience change. One way to practice this is by reflecting on past changes in your life. Think about a time when something you feared, like losing a job or ending a relationship, led to unexpected growth or new opportunities. This exercise reminds you that you've adapted before and can do so again. Another practice is grounding yourself in the present moment. When change feels overwhelming, take a deep breath and focus on what you can control right now. Often, the next small step is all you need to start moving forward. Clinging to the past may feel safe, but it keeps you tethered to something that no longer exists. By letting go, you create room for the new. Change is not your enemy. It's a natural part of life's rhythm. As you move through 2025, embrace the uncertainty that comes with change. See it as an invitation to grow, to evolve, to become. Don't forget the bigger picture. It's easy to get lost in the weeds of daily life. Meetings, deadlines, errands. They pile up, demanding your attention and leaving little room to breathe. But when you live solely in the rush of day-to-day tasks, life begins to feel small. You forget why you're doing any of it. Stoicism urges us to look beyond these immediate demands and keep the bigger picture in focus. What truly matters? What kind of life do you want to lead? The Stoics had a powerful way of maintaining this perspective. Memento mori. Remember that you will die. While this might sound morbid, it's actually a call to live fully and intentionally. Marcus Aurelius reflected often on his mortality, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The idea isn't to dwell on death, but to use it as a reminder of life's shortness. When you're aware of how short your time is, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. Think of life as a camera lens. When you're too zoomed in, all you see is a blur of small details. The email you need to answer, the messy kitchen, the traffic jam. But when you zoom out, the bigger picture comes into view. You remember what's important: your relationships, your health, your personal growth. The mess fades into perspective, and what truly matters takes center stage. For many of us, losing sight of the bigger picture happens gradually. We say yes to too many commitments or chase goals that don't align with our values. Over time, we wake up to find ourselves busy but unfulfilled. To avoid this, make it a habit to step back and reflect regularly. Ask yourself questions like, am I spending my time on what truly matters? Are my actions aligned with my values? Reflection doesn't take much. 5 minutes at the end of each day or an hour once a week can work wonders. One practical way to focus on the bigger picture is to create a life values list. Write down the things that matter most to you: family, creativity, health, service, or whatever feels meaningful. Then, whenever you feel overwhelmed or pulled in too many directions, revisit that list. Let it guide your choices. If something doesn't align with your values, consider whether it's worth your time and energy. Living with the bigger picture in mind doesn't mean ignoring the small things. It's about balancing the details with their greater purpose. Your daily actions, no matter how mundane, are the building blocks of your legacy. In 2025, let the small things connect to something more significant. When you focus on what truly matters, life feels richer, fuller, and more purposeful. Thank you for joining us on this amazing journey of the 7 Stoic Don'ts for a Better Life in 2025. We hope these ideas help you create a life filled with purpose, peace, and strength. Remember, a better life doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from how you choose to face them. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little Stoic inspiration. Keep these principles close, keep growing, and we'll see you next time. Stay grounded and take care.